I literally said this to a client yesterday because she said, I am trying to, we're trying to work through some allergies and some things like that. And she is basically cutting down on eggs and dairy to kind of see if that helps. She's like, do you have any ideas for breakfast foods that aren't eggs and dairy? And so I was like, all right, well, let's get a little bit outside the box, take yourself away from thinking about traditional breakfast foods, because typically they'll have eggs and dairy in them, and start to think about, like you said, have bison and zoodles for breakfast. There's no, like, you make your own standard. There's no standard anymore. It doesn't matter, right? And we're kind of like, either we grow up on these things, or it's just part of society, just like anything else, right? Breakfast is the biggest meal of the day. We've learned that. And for some people it is. For some people it's absolutely not, because they don't eat breakfast, which is totally fine. So it's just finding what works for you, and experimenting with different things, and kind of taking the step to experiment and see, what you feel good with, and that's really it. One of the original questions we got is, or at least I've gotten in the past, is like, how do I track my macros and fit this into my, being able to eat with my family, but also, like being able to track my food, right? Because that's an issue that I see, or complex complexity, and adds complexity to tracking macros, especially with dinner and foods like that. So like you said, keeping it simple and keeping those like one macronutrient foods can make that so easy, rather than trying to go in and like track an entire recipe or something like that. It's like, all right, I got my steak, I got my vegetable, I got my starch. Is this a lean steak or a fatty steak? If it's a fatty steak, then I might not need to add any fat to it. If it's a leaner steak, maybe I add a little bit of butter to it, or whatever, right? So you're kind of, that's how your matrix is looking, and you're kind of like building your plate from that, right? So I love that. Another thing to think about, and this is what I do too, like, you don't necessarily, I'm pretty sure that I've eaten the same 3 dinners for the last like months, because I enjoy them. Like, I found 3 different types of dinners that I enjoy.